A chopper surveys the scene. The power of the Victoria River in full flow. Water levels peaking at more than 24 metres.
They've lost belongings, they've lost everything, and you can't comprehend or you can't put a price on it.
Trucks have been stranded at flooded crossings, leaving shelves bare for days.
It shook a lot of people's nerve, and they didn't want to go through being evic'd again.
For many in the remote Victoria River region, it's the second serious flood in less than 12 months. In March last year, 3 communities were evacuated and flown hundreds of kilometres to this former COVID quarantine centre in Darwin for refuge. Then 2 weeks ago, the Victoria River swelled again. Kalkarindji leader Rob Roy says for many it was too much.
Same, river comes, but it comes up more. It's just the feeling of loss. A lot of their personal belonging and stuff was taken away during the flood.
The worst hit was the remote community of Pigeon Hole, or Indepth. Just 6 months ago, these new and temporary homes were trucked in. Some have been hit by floodwaters while other temporary structures are completely inundated.
Back to Yarland, across to Timber Creek.
Brian Pedwell is the mayor of the Victoria Daily.
Go across to Indepth.
For decades, he's been calling for Pigeon Hole, which has a population of around 120 people, to be moved to higher ground.
There's a health clinic that has been there since the early 80s, mid-80s. There's school still on the flood zone area. I'm very angry, I've been angry for the last 20 years to relocate that community. And there's a water tank that's going to fall over soon.
Despite being located on a floodplain, over the past year the NT government spent $11 million replacing homes in Pigeon Hole, Kalkarindji and Dargaragu, only for some to be flooded once again.
Nobody expected another flood, literally, in that area. Last year we thought it was a 1 in 100-year flood.
You've said no one expected the flood, but the whole community is sitting in a floodplain. You can see that from the NT government's own maps. I mean, why did the NT government build any new houses in that floodplain? Isn't that an obvious waste of taxpayer money?
That's where the community is, and that community's probably been there for a very, very long time, or has been there for a very long time. So it was about upgrading, and the new houses were houses that were built with a large slab, so that was above the flood levels.
Those departments, when are they going to look at themselves deeply and relocate those infrastructure? How many more times that community is going to flood?
Government's just not listening. Someone up there in the big office is not listening. They're putting people's life at risk.
The NT Chief Minister denies residents are being ignored and says her government supports eventually relocating the community, but that some residents have in previous years been reluctant to move.
There is an absolute will to do that. As I said, those things cost money, and it is moving a whole community, and so there are people that have lived there for a very long time.
In the meantime, food supplies have been flown into flood-hit communities, and Chief Minister Eva Lawler says talks are underway with the pastoral company, which owns a nearby cattle station on higher ground.
With the pastoralists, there will need to be land that'll be excised. It might involve compensation, and then it will be around that process of moving.
Founded by Australia's first billionaire, Robert Holmes Accord, Heytesbury Pastoral owns the Victoria River Downs station next to Pigeon Hole. Station boss Rusty Richter declined an on-camera interview but told 7:30 the station has no objections to excising part of the station land for the town and has told the government the ball is in their court. He also said he was shocked to see new homes built on the floodplain and called it a waste of our taxpayers' money. The government said that the call to rebuild new homes last year came from within Pigeon Hole, but community leaders say the town is now unified and ready to move.
There'll be people who don't want to move, but it is ongoing conversations. And I think the flood last year was one that they hadn't had a flood for a long time. Then this second one probably is now making people think very carefully around the situation they're in.
For now, this homeless centre in Darwin will continue to house some of Pigeon Hole's population, with no real certainty for how long or if they'll end up back there again next wet season.
There's money down the drain every year. I don't know how much a house costs to build, about $500,000. You put a few of those every year, they get washed away. What's the government doing?